Hey guys, welcome back to Building Southlake. So basically today we're going to be working on a new building over by the park. And it's actually, I know I keep saying this like almost every other video, but this one is one of my new favorite buildings. It's actually going to be the tallest building in the server. Well, I say the server, in the world for now, because it's not really a server yet. But yeah, so here's the building that we are going to be working on. As you can see, right in front of the park. It's supposed to be almost the center point of the park. So it's one of my favorite buildings just because it fits, like it's a very high class building right next to the park, and that's kind of what I want it to look like. I want it to look like one of those government buildings that you see that's really nice. One of my favorite features of it is the big pillars. I've been trying to figure out how to incorporate pillars like this into a building, and I think I kind of got it right with this one. I think there's some things I could do differently with it, but we also have something else to do. So remember in the last episode of Southlake, I almost said Chaos Craft. But in the last episode of Southlake, I talked about doing like a shout out every week that we do Southlake, but excluding live streams and things like that, but just like the actual videos of Southlake. So this one is by RKO Thompson. So let's get a sign out and go back over to the stadium, which I actually will show you guys the stadium because it is finished, and I can't remember if you guys saw it completely finished or not. So let's get rid of this sign here. Let's replace it with, we're gonna do RKO, and then T, I'm trying to make sure I get this right, THOMPOMPSON, so S-O and N. So RKO Thompson, there you go, bud. So hopefully you're watching, you have a permanent spot in Southlake as well, along with Live Chelsea 434. So if you guys do want to be on this, you know, have your gamertag put into the world, basically all you have to do is just keep watching videos, commenting, doing things like that, because I can look at my analytics on YouTube and see who's been watching the most videos, who's been the most interactive, and things like that. So that's just one of the things that I think it's really cool to kind of give you guys a quick little shout out for watching all my videos and doing things like that. So how about we get started on this building? So we're using, what is the materials? I'll have to check here in a second. We're using gray stained clay, white stained clay, not really any stone. I am missing a couple materials though. Let's get rid of all that. We also need another brick fence, regular glass, some quartz stairs, and some quartz blocks, it looks like. Are we good? I think we got everything. So basically, I already did the front here, as you guys can kind of tell. And basically the whole point of that was to kind of just get the ball rolling and get some ideas. And the reason I figured I would do it this side is because, one, I wanted to see how it would actually look, but two, I also wanted to see how it was going to turn out, because if I didn't like it, I wasn't going to build it. But it turned out to be something I did like, so I made it. That's probably the best way to describe it. I liked it, so I figured might as well go on with the design at this point. And so here we are. We're just working on it, and it's not going to be fully finished in this part, guys. It's probably going to be finished by next part, maybe. I mean, it all depends on how lazy I want to get with all of this. But as you can tell, it's going to be a pretty big building if it's taking up this entire space here. So as you can tell, it's going to be a pretty big building. It's the tallest building in the world right now by one block. Yeah, just one. And the other tallest building's like one. It's like quartz and blue wool, I think. Maybe like snow and blue wool. And it's all the way over there and to our left. And it's not a great building. Not this one. The other one I'm talking about. The one that's like one block lower than this. It's not a bad building, but I kind of talked about last part. One of the hardest parts about making a city is the fact, it might have actually been in the live stream, but one of the things that's really hard about building a city, it's not the buildings, it's not the roads. The hardest part about building a city is actually trying to get your proportions right. That's probably the hardest part of any city, because Newfield City actually had the same problem that I'm talking about now. And what I mean by that is you need to make your buildings big enough to where they can actually be usable and feel realistic in them. But you can't make things too big, because then, you know, I feel like it's going to be out of proportion. You're trying to make things feel like a realistic size, and that's probably the hardest part, because in Minecraft that's really hard to tell, you know, what's to scale and what's not. Like for example, if I would have made a stadium, the one I did, which, oh, I actually didn't show you guys that, but we still have time to do that. But if I would have made the city a little bit bigger, but then if I would have kept the stadium smaller, it wouldn't be proportioned, because as we know, stadiums take up quite a bit of space. They are very big in real life. So if I would have made the field smaller, and if I would have done a lot of the other things I thought about doing, it wouldn't have been the same. And that's the hardest part about building a city, is again trying to get your proportions right, which is, like I said, very, very hard to do, and something I'm still working on. For example, a lot of these buildings, you could put floors and elevators in them, but for example, this one right here, and this is the one that's actually the second tallest building in the city. It's still a good sized building, but when you get up to here, it's not that well proportioned. I could still fit a elevator in here. So you're trying to just find a way to make things well proportioned to how everything would work. And I think I've kind of hit the nail on the head here with Southlake so far. All the buildings seem to be reasonably sized to its surroundings and things like that. And one of my friends, even a long time ago, pointed out that the bridge here, because I asked him if it was too tall, because the bridge is actually one of the tallest things on the server, and I asked him if it's too tall. And he said no. He's like, I don't know how you did it, but you kind of made it like perfect size to where it's perfect scale for the cars on the bridge. Like the bus is perfectly proportioned to the bridge itself. So it's just one of those really hard things to kind of accomplish. It just takes time, because you can't make things too big, but at the same time you don't want to make them too small. So that's one of those things that it just comes with practice. So here is the stadium, guys. So this side was already done by last part, but the new side, which we kind of started working on last part, I think that's what we did, is this side here. And I'm actually pretty happy with it. It turned out well. And the stadium is like kind of like going back to that proportion thing. I think it's pretty well proportioned. I mean, it is very, very big. It goes like 300 blocks across basically, if not more. And I think that's actually kind of perfect, because if I put skyscrapers next to it, I'm going to be able to put 3 to 4 skyscrapers next to it, and it's still not going to be as long as the stadium. And that's kind of how it is in real life. So I think it's pretty well sized. I think I'm happy with it. And it took a long time, but it's finally almost done. There's still like some small things you have to take care of here and there. But for the most part, the stadium is done, and I'm really happy with it. And I guess we should go back to working on the original build that we're working on. So let's fly all the way back over here. Whee! So one thing I actually need to be careful about is, okay, I'm actually kind of happy I remembered that. And because I kind of have like a 1 block overhang, so this actually needs to start here. So I'm actually going to start here just so I know I can make the even size windows. Because I'm not sure if I want the size to be like the same design as the front and the back. Like what I mean by that is like the big window in the middle. I'm not sure if I want to have that. I'm not sure if I just want to have the 3 wide windows going all the way across the side, or if I want to have that big window. Because I feel like if I add the big window, that might work for adding elevators, things like that going up. Huh. So many things that really go into buildings like this. And it's just one of those things that just, again, takes time, takes patience. And I think that's what most people struggle with in a city, is patience. And again, I can verify that firsthand. On Newfield City, you can look at the city part of it, like the across the river where the city is, and it looks pretty well organized. You know, it looks like everything's kind of well thought out. But then you go over to the other side of the river, it kind of feels rushed. It doesn't feel as organized as the city side. And that was because I did kind of rush it. I did get impatient with how I want it to be, and it kind of suffered from that. And it's one of those things that I probably shouldn't have done. But, you know, looking back on it, I'm kind of happy I did, because now I know not to make that mistake again. So it's like one of those things to where, yes, it sucks that I did, but at the same time, I'm learning from my mistakes, which is what you had to do. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? Yeah, we need 5 pillars. So we're at 3. We need 2 more. We're just trying to right now make sure everything is going to be even, and then we know where the middle is. So it's either going to be a odd or even number. Huh. One of the two. It's going to be very tricky. And this building is actually... Ooh, another finished building is that one over there. Sorry, I keep getting distracted because I keep remembering new stuff that I've done off camera, things like that. Which I do, haha. I do a lot of stuff off camera sometimes, which I know some people don't like when I do that, but sometimes I just want to get my designs done, finish some of the designs I've already made. For example, the 2 buildings right in front of me. You know, I've started them, but they're not finished. So it's just one of those things that I will finish those probably off camera. Same thing I did with that one over there. The only problem was that one was completely done off camera, so I finished it completely just off camera. Coming back down. And I think it kind of looks like a hospital, but at the same time, I kind of feel like it's not. So I might just make it a plain office building. Again, I know I keep getting distracted, guys. I'm sorry, but I just have a lot of stuff to show you guys that's been done since the last part. So I was just building one day with the world on open, not for anybody to build, but just to join. And I was building this. I showed you guys this original design from the front. This is the back here. I showed you guys the original design from the front maybe 3 to 4 parts ago. And I'm just kind of winging it there. And it looks something like this. And it looks like an office building. To me, it kind of looks like a hospital a little bit as well. But I finally finished the design besides the windows. And here's the design I came up with. One of my favorite parts of it is how it kind of overhangs the highway here. And I like that because it kind of gives it more design and feel to it. And then I did add supports underneath it to kind of make it feel more realistic, like it's holding it up. So just another small thing that I did. Alright, back to the original building. Hopefully this building isn't going to be too big. I hope it's not going to be. I mean, if we have to, we can always make it smaller. But, like, here's the thing, like, again, going back to the whole proportions thing, I know I just got done talking about that, and here's another one of those problems, is, do I want to, if I make this too big, it's going to feel too big compared to all the buildings around it. So again, just one of those things that I'm going to have to figure it out once everything's complete. So, we'll have to see. I kind of hope it's going to be okay, but I do kind of feel like it is a little bit too big. Because I do want to start adding more trees around the buildings and things like that to add more color, kind of like what we did over there. So I do want to start doing more of that. So we actually might get rid of this here, make it a little bit smaller. Because making it smaller never does really hurt. Because then we could probably add like parallel parking and things like that next to the building. So I think it is a little bit too wide right now. It's too big to its surrounding buildings. So we are going to kind of shorten it up a little bit. And there's other like small things that we could do to kind of connect the building. Like if we made like the big part smaller, but then add like a lobby area, that could work as well. So there's other ways around making big buildings and making them not too big. Again, you guys will just have to learn those. Like when you're building, it just comes with practice, and you start to figure out what works for you, what doesn't, what's your style, things like that. And one of my styles is, I used to be kind of a modern builder, which I think I still am to an extent, because I don't just look at modern being like just all white buildings, things like that. I look at modern as, you know, new stuff, things that weren't in the past, that maybe like new designs. I think the design kind of falls for the modern. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we want to get rid of this one too? Because I thought we might get rid of this pillar as well. We'll have to see. I can always add more pillars if I need to, but again, I don't want to make this too wide to its surrounding buildings. And I think I've kind of gone away from like ultra modern a little bit, mainly because I know I've talked about this quite a bit, but some people just, I don't think I've heard it. But I think I've gone away from it because you can't use like ultra modern in cities, and it's really hard for modern to fit in with your builds and what you're doing. Now, if you're building just a all modern house neighborhood, you know, that might work. But again, it's not exactly realistic. I've become more of a realistic builder, I think, to where I like to see things look more realistic because then people can relate to it. But I still like what modern has done. I like that it kind of, I think modern kind of brings out the creativity in people, because modern isn't just, you know, one design. Modern is a whole bunch of different designs added into one building. And I think that's what I like about it the most, is that you can just get so many more designs out of it. But kind of going back to that, but you can't really use some of those modern designs in a realistic setting. Like if I added a ultra modern skyscraper into the city, it would look out of place. It wouldn't look right. And going on with that same point, if I added a modern house to a suburban neighborhood, it wouldn't look right. And even just having a all modern neighborhood, it still wouldn't feel realistic because those kind of neighborhoods don't really exist yet. I mean, there's some, but the problem with modern is it doesn't really add too much color. Like, you can add more color, but your usual colors are just snow and like gray wool. Those are like your usual colors for modern. And now, yes, there are other ones. I'm just kind of like generally speaking here. And I think that's kind of the problem is with traditional and things like that, you can add more color to them. I mean, same thing with modern, but modern just always feels out of place in a realistic setting. And that's the thing I think I've been trying to get away from with modern, is I don't want modern to hold me back. Even though I still want to build modern, I don't want to make it feel out of place and feel like it doesn't belong. And that's the hard part. And it's just something I've gotten used to. And you guys have probably noticed that in my videos, that there's not as much like modern houses for Let's Build. You're seeing more of these tutorials for traditional houses, neighborhood houses, things like that. Mainly because I've gotten better at building those things. Mainly just because those are what I prefer to build these days. Because again, I feel like you can use those more often than modern. Modern houses are good for like survival and, you know, when they're not surrounded by any other buildings. But when they're surrounded by other buildings, that's when you kind of run into that problem. So again, just me kind of going like on a small, not really a rant, but explanation might be the best way to put that. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. This actually might work out perfectly. And let's go up. Do. Now, do I want to extend the side, because the bottom part of this side is just all the clay. It's just like a solid wall. I'm not sure if I want to add more windows to that, or if I want to just keep it the way it is. Because that way you can kind of add more to the sides when you get to the interior at some point. So I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. So this is kind of like the thought process of building a city is, you can kind of see my thought process, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I like this series so much, is that you guys can see the struggles I go through, because maybe that will help you guys out, because I know that kind of sounds ridiculous, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, we're good. I want to make sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is that 1, 2? Okay, it is. Whew, I almost threw a fit there, and let's come back down. And so it shows you guys my thought process of doing things like this. It shows you the construction of buildings. And I even had a fan the other day, and because usually my world is on open, and apparently other YouTubers don't leave their worlds on open. They're usually always closed. And some of my fans like really appreciate that I let my world be on open all the time so they can join and see what I'm doing. And the way I look at it is, other YouTubers, I think they just don't want people bugging them. But the way I look at it is, I can go invisible. Most people aren't going to know where I am. But if I still let you join, you know, you're not going to get in my way all the time, because you're going to be looking around for stuff you want to see. And I think the advantage of what I do, by leaving my world on open, I think the advantage of that is the fact that it still looks too wide. Dang. I think we might do... That's a really tough question, or tough answer to how I want to do this, because it feels like too wide to the building. I feel like it's going to ruin the design if I make it this wide. I don't know. But the reason I like leaving my world on open is that way you guys, for yourself, can see my builds and the things I do. Because the way I look at it, I've said this multiple times in videos as well, but the way I look at it though is, I can show you a picture and a video of a building, like for example this one, and you can still get inspiration from it, but if I let you join and you can see it from the angles that you want to see it from, it's a lot more inspiration for you. And that way it's more, you can see it from whatever angle you want to see it from, you can see it how you want to see it, not how I want you to see it. And that's something like you're going to see with other cities on PC sometimes, I've noticed, is they show you a picture and like some of the buildings look really good, but then when you see them in person, it's like, oh, those aren't as good as I thought they were. And why did I get rid of all these? I didn't mean to get rid of all of them. Whoops. You might just make 4 pillars. My life's so hard. It's not really hard, but there's so many tough decisions to do. Because I feel like if I want this design to work, I feel like it needs to stop like right maybe here. Cause I feel like that'd be a perfect width for it. We'll have to see how that works. So I said here, right? So we'll stack it up to here for now, and I can kind of continue. I'll have to figure out what to do with the back then if we do it that way. If we decide to go that route. I feel like that's actually pretty good width, and then we just, like I said, have to figure out what to do with stuff over here. So like, look at it. Right now, it just looks way too wide. And if I get rid of those 4 pillars, maybe to go over one more, I think it might look a little bit better from the sides as well. So, how much time are we at? I haven't checked yet. So we're at 21 minutes, so we might have to call it quits for this part, guys. I want to keep my videos around 20 minutes for these. So thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I will see all you guys later. Check in the description for your shout out. If you're RKO Thompson, his channel will be in the description as well. So bye bye guys, thank you very much for watching. Now we'll talk to all you guys later. Bye bye.